There are 298 prisoners on death row in the state of Florida. This is part 35 of the series. Hector Sanchez Torres, 34 years old, 12 years on death row. Eric J. Cullen, 19 years old, was killed in September 2008. Hector Gabriel Sanchez Torres admitted culpability. Cullen was robbed as he made his way home from a friend's house on Cheswick Oak Avenue in Argyle Forest when Sanchez Torres shot him. Only a few blocks from his house, his body was discovered on the pavement. Between the Cullen murder and Sanchez Torres' capture in March 2009, a charge of the Jacksonville murder of 25-year-old Levi E. Rollins in July 2008 was brought against him. According to the police, a quarrel over their relationship and homosexuality led to Sanchez Torres shooting Rollins. Rollins' car and bullet-riddled body were dumped at a West Side cemetery. Tavares Callaway, 45 years old, 13 years on death row. Invading a Liberty City apartment with another man, Callaway tied up 5 men, taped their mouths shut, removed their pants, discussed which to leave alive, and then methodically shot each of them in the head. Callaway, according to the prosecution, was looking for cash or drugs. Leo Kasmar, 40 years old, 13 years on death row. He received a death sentence for stabbing 49-year-old Mary Ruiz, his father's girlfriend, about 90 times. In December 2008, Kasmar attacked Ruiz while he was high on cocaine. He set the house on fire, and after his arrest, he paid an undercover officer $300 to frame someone else for the murder. He also had a 2005 conviction of using the internet to solicit or attempt to solicit a child for sex. Leonard Gonzalez, 49 years old, 12 years on death row. Bird and Melanie Billings were killed in Pensacola, Florida on or around July 9, 2009. Bird Billings, 66 years old, and his wife Melanie, 43 years old, were discovered shot to death. When they broke into the expensive Billings home west of Pensacola, the suspects, who were dressed in ninja garb, took a safe and other items. 9 of their kids were at home at the time, but the trespassers spared them any harm. The wealthy couple were known for adopting children with special needs. They had a total of 16 children, 12 of whom were adopted. Bird Billings owned several businesses, including a used car dealership. 8 people in total were found guilty of organizing and taking part in the crimes. The 2 criminals who drove the getaway cars, the criminal who assisted in disposing of the stolen goods, and the 5 crooks who broke into the Billings home were all found guilty. Gary Hilton, 77 years old, 12 years on death row. Between 2007 and 2008, Hilton, also known as the National Forest serial killer, traveled hiking trails throughout the American South, killing victims as they passed through remote areas. Sources claim that he was responsible for at least 4 verified murders in 3 states, all of which took place in national forest areas. Hilton, who was apprehended following the January 2008 murder of 24-year-old Meredith Emerson, was given the death penalty in Florida, as well as life sentences in Georgia and North Carolina. He is still in Florida's Union Correctional Institution's death row and is suspected of committing a number of additional homicides. Leon Davis, 46 years old, 11 years on death row. He murdered 5 people over the span of 7 days in Polk County, Florida in December 2007. He was sentenced to death in 2 separate trials. On December 7, 2007, Pravin Kumar Patel, 33 years old, and Ashrat Patel, 55 years old, were working at a gas station next to Interstate 4 in Polk County when Davis entered. Once inside, Davis pointed his revolver at the 2 men and killed them both with close-range execution-style shootings. He then left the area without taking any money. The killings were caught on camera, but Davis was never named in those recordings, and he wasn't interrogated in the days that followed. On December 13, 2007, Davis walked into the Headley Nationwide Insurance office in Lake Wales, which was owned by Yvonne Bustamante, 26 years old, and Juanita Jane Luciano, 23 years old, who was 5.5 months pregnant and planning to name her unborn son Michael. When they were both inside, Davis ordered them to open the safe, which held about $900 in the back room. He then used duct tape to secure both of them to chairs before dousing them in gasoline and setting them on fire. According to reports, The fire momentarily freed the women after cutting through the tape, but both were in critical condition when police arrived. Bustamante and Luciano were taken to the hospital, but on December 18th, Bustamante passed away from the wounds. On January 8th, Luciano and her unborn child both died from their wounds. She positively identified Davis as the attacker before she passed away. Darius Wilcox, 46 years old, 12 years on death row. Wilcox was sentenced to death by the state of Florida for a robbery murder. According to court documents, he shot and killed Nimoy Johnson inside of his home. The medical examiner testified that Johnson died from a single gunshot wound to the head. The bullet entered high through the back left portion of Johnson's skull and penetrated through the brain, exited the skull, and was extracted from the soft tissue of Johnson's neck. Donald Banks, 51 years old, 15 years on death row. Banks was charged with killing 46-year-old Linda Volume, who was found dead in her home on Jasper Avenue. Police went to her home after finding her stolen car crashed and abandoned in northwest Jacksonville. Investigators said they found a receipt in the car for beers and cigars from a store and an empty beer can that had Banks' fingerprints on it. The arrest report said Banks admitted stabbing Volume to his girlfriend and accidentally stabbed himself. Investigators believed that meant the victim fought back. Two bloody footprints found at the crime scene matched Banks' DNA, and Volume's stolen laptop computer was found at the girlfriend's house. Banks was already convicted of aggravated assault and armed robbery of 67-year-old William Johnson. Johnson remained hospitalized for months after being stabbed in the back outside an Arlington convenience store. This attack was recorded by a surveillance camera. Johnson died a few months later. Galante Phillips, 51 years old, 15 years on death row. Galante Romar Phillips was found guilty of murdering Christopher Aligada and given the death penalty. He was also found guilty of armed robbery. On the evening of October 18, 2005, Phillips entered the lumberyard's parking lot with the intention of committing a robbery. Between 8 and 8:30 p.m., he approached the builder's first worker who had just concluded his shift and inquired about the end of the shift. Mr. Long confirmed that the shift was indeed ending. Then he climbed into his car and drove off. Between 8:30 and 8:45 p.m., Christopher Aligada and Wilbur Sweet concluded their work and made their way to the parking lot to find their cars. According to Mr. Sweet's testimony, he was turning his truck with a screwdriver when he noticed a man nearby who he subsequently absolutely identified as Phillips and who was holding a revolver. Mr. Sweet was the target of a gun-pointed demand from Phillips. Sweet initially said he had no money. However, he actually did have $3,100 on hand that day, which he intended to use to buy a car for his son. Sweet placed his hands up as Phillips kept pointing the gun at him and demanding money, at which point Phillips reached into his pocket and removed his wallet and money. Another employee who was there during the incident said that Mr. Aligada started sprinting their direction while screaming as Phillips approached Mr. Sweet. The worker then observed Mr. Aligada falling to the ground after hearing 2 gunshots. According to Sweet's testimony, as soon as Phillips took the cash out of his pocket, he whirled around and fired twice with his gun. Sweet fled after learning that Phillips had shot Aligada, and Phillips then opened fire on him. Phillips got into Sweet's car and took off. According to police testimony, Sweet's abandoned car was discovered about a block away from Builder's First in the middle of the road. Testing of the car indicated that the gear shift had DNA that matched Phillips' DNA. Several weeks after the killing, Phillips confessed to his girlfriend Katrina Joyce that he had robbed a man and shot someone who was attempting to halt the heist. Please hit that subscribe button if you like my channel. See you next time. Bye bye.